This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is time for another entertainment interview. And I don't know how many of you know of this performer. I hope a lot because I just spent the last half hour going through Raymond's music. And we have Raymond Castronovo with us. And Raymond has something new coming out. In fact, it actually is supposed to premiere tomorrow, but you said it showed up today, right?
Yeah, so it showed up in a magazine called Pop Rap, and they premiered it. So you could listen to it on Pop Rap, but you can't download it. So the full album release is tomorrow.
Okay. So you can get a little snippet of it today and know that you're going to want to download it tomorrow. And as I say on all of our shows, um, make sure that you are downloading it properly, that you're paying for it, because musicians put a lot of hard work into their passion and they need to get paid for it. And I know you only get pennies for it, but every penny does count. So, the little bit of music I was listening to earlier, Raymond, tell me, and I see all those wonderful guitars behind you. Um, what got you into the industry? What made you decide this is something that you wanted to do?
So I grew up in Brooklyn, in the town of Canarsie, and me and a couple other guys played in a lot of clubs in Manhattan. And we actually got approached by a major record label, and we were going to record in the Hit Factory in Manhattan, major recording studio. So with all that good news, I have a pregnant wife at home. I go home and she kind of gives me an ultimatum. So then I stayed with my music. I knew I was able to do it. I created a nice business. I own a construction company, and a lot of my work is in Manhattan and Brooklyn and Queens. So about 5 or 6 years ago, we relocated to the east end of Long Island. I bought a building, and on top of the building, there's a big ballroom, and that's our rehearsal studio, a 5,000 square foot ballroom. So I said to my daughter, who's instrumental in running the business, I said, Cassandra, I'm going to try it again. If I can get as good as I was or better, I'm going to go and reach out to the people who gave me attention back in my 20s and see what happens. So, Karen, I went and I worked for about 3.5 years. And about a year and a half ago, I did just that. And they welcomed me with open arms.
How wonderful.
All right. So I then was going to re-sign up with another major record label, and I decided that I can probably do this myself nowadays. So I started my own record label, and I'm the first guy I signed up during this whole COVID stuff. And the Hit Factory welcomed us back in, and Sterling Sound, who mastered everything, welcomed us all back in. And then we got in touch with a great PR media company, and here we are. And
Well, you are with a great media company. We must admit that. Um, and I can't tell you, there hasn't been one artist that I've talked to in the last 3 years since I've been working with them that has not amazed me. Um, and, you know, we think we know all the relevant musicians in the United States, but we really don't because a lot of you are hidden in little cities. Actually, New York is not so little, but you're hidden in that city and playing there. And sometimes, if you live in Ohio or Kansas, we don't get to hear your music unless, someone like myself says, you know what, I'm going to talk to them, I'm going to share their music, and we want everybody to hear it. So back in the day, um, you had to go to work to raise a family, obviously.
yeah.
Um, did you still do something with music on the side, or was it all business and family?
Nope, I stayed playing. I would go and have friends with bands. They would go ask me to come. I'd show up. I stayed active. I, did my music writing. I kept on, and I'm pulling it all out. I stayed active. And, I even got into the mentality that I got to keep myself right physically well, because if the opportunity comes along, I want to be ready for it. And it's happening now.
And I take it your daughter must be active in the music world too. Did
She
you?
somewhat is, but she's more of a listener, not a musician.
Okay, okay. Well, you know what? Not all of us can be musicians. I've shared this story. I have 2 older brothers, and when we were in elementary school, everybody, I think it was in 3rd or 4th grade, you had to play an instrument. And my older brother played the clarinet, and when my next brother came in line, he got to play the clarinet. And of course, when it was my turn, I was just told I was gonna play the clarinet. And after the first day of music class, Mr. Scanlon, what a great teacher he was, he came up to me and he said, "From now on, just pretend you're playing the clarinet." That is how bad I was. So, I'm a listener of music. I
Yeah,
don't I don't sing and I don't play an instrument, but it's great when you have that ability.
yeah.
So, what is it about music that inspires you to write?
So when I was younger, how I explain our music is like a music stew. There's no genres that I can really relate it to. So we have a mixture. So coming out when we were young, even, going as far back as Louis Armstrong and the New Orleans sound to present. And then you had Les Paul, who he went and he started making the recordings and bringing the electric guitar into
Mhm.
the play. Then the Beatles, then the Rolling Stones. And then back then, Aretha Franklin and Elvis. I mean, they can sing like unbelievable. So we have a mix of all that. I sing, my voice comes into the mix, somewhat like, a 50s guy, but we have our rock and roll, we have our little New Orleans sound, and then we also have our music with our dance beats, which actually the song Shake It, we have a nice Emmy Award winning director, producer, who are going to start that video in about 3 weeks. So we have a stew of music. It's all mixed, and if you listen, one song won't sound like the other.
Well, that's the one thing I was noticing as I was going through because I didn't play one um, song all the way through. 'Cause it was like, well, I want to hear what this next one sounds like, and the next one, and it was like, you know, they were all different. Um, I did find myself smiling at the music, uh, which always makes me feel even better about doing the interview because it's like,
Thank you.
what if I don't like the music? What do I say to that person? Um, but one thing that I want to share with our audience is that, you know, we have this great opportunity through the internet to find new musicians out there. Like, and even though you're not new, you're new to me and to some of our
Yeah,
listeners, and you don't have to listen to the same group over and over again. Change it up a little bit. That's what makes life exciting.
right.
So, when you decided to get this building and put in this studio, um, was your dream just for your band, or was it to bring in other bands to produce in there?
Right. So other bands as well, but when COVID hit, it kind of locked everything down and all this person to person stuff. So it looks like, talking with a couple of, other people that are involved with me, in about another month or two, we're going to start some showcasing. We're going to start listening to other musicians that we can show them how to get their music out there and help them along the way. It's not cheap financially to put the recording together and have the media companies. So if we can help them and they can move on their way at a lower cost than having to get tied up with one of these big record companies, that's what we're all about.
You know, and it's interesting. Musicians like yourself are you're always putting your hand out to help another person. Um, and my brother's been in the industry for wow, uh, 40 plus years. And um, I learned it from him. When he was producing out in California, I always assumed that the recording artists were going to be, um, you know, standoffish. They were perfect, but they weren't. They were there working with each other, helping out somebody. Um, in fact, I remember going out once and saying to my brother, I have a friend back home who has an excellent voice, and I think she would be good on this recording you're doing. And he looked at me, he said, give me her name and number. I'll call her. And I was surprised. It's like, you're going to take your sister's word? Um, but I see a lot of that camaraderie. Why is it just in the music industry? Why can't we take that camaraderie outside and help each other in this world, and especially now?
Right. Well, that's funny you say that because the last song that just got released called "The Better Place" speaks all about that. It's relates to take care of one another. So the lyrics are like put out your hand and reach for another, open your arms and hug your brother. It doesn't matter gender, race, creed, or color, and so on and so on. So that music, that song, the timing came out perfectly. And I wrote it about a year and a half ago, but that's, you're right. It should be taken every which way. You know, growing up in Brooklyn too, we were taught to take care of and protect people that were vulnerable. If we help them financially, if we help them in any which way, you try to help them.
Well, we definitely have to do that in today's world. Um, and you know, I know people think of New York as a place where people would step over you, but I know that is not really true. There's more helping hands in your city than probably in some of the outskirt cities. So I thank people like yourself. So when you sort of put music on the side, okay, to have a business, um, did your wife feel like maybe she was pushing you to, you know, sort of put it to the side, or did she just know that you would eventually come back to it?
She tried to have it extinguished, but I always knew that if I did it when I was in my 20s, I have a way I could do it again if I put my mind to it. So I just stayed active in a way that was acceptable to both of us. And now the kids are grown and I made the choice.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it's good when you do have that support amongst, the family. Uh, and I always share that when I went away to college, my parents said to me, you're going to get a teaching degree. And I looked at them and I said, I don't want a teaching degree. And they said, but that's what you're going to get. So little did they know what courses I was taking. And after 2 years, when I had my associates in communications, they pulled me out of school. They said, you'll never have a job. You got,
Right.
either we'll pay for you to go get your teaching degree or nothing. And I said, I guess nothing. Um, and it really wasn't until about 8 years ago that my family really supported me and said, you know what? It's been your dream. Now it's time. Um,
Right.
and I think it's wonderful when you can have the family support um, and do what you really want to do. So tell us a little bit more about this new release for tomorrow.
All right. So, like I was saying earlier, there's a wide variety of music. There's some that are dance songs. There's one called Body Motion. The one that we're making the video on is called Shake It. And so I write and all around like real life stories that people can relate to, things that happen. And there's one called 15K that's a little bit more rock and roll style. There's another one called Live for the Moment. That's another type of rock and roll style. And then there's a Better Place who has that Motown feel. So that variety gives us a little bit more opportunity. Even Cute. There's a song called Cute. It sounds like it came out of a Grease movie. And then you might have heard Dream Girl. That was one of them
Yeah.
that sounds like it came out of the late 50s. We have great sax players. I got lucky enough to cross paths with Joe Martinez, who was Chubby Checker's bass player.
How wonderful.
Yeah, and he played with Irina Cara. And actually, Shake It There's where when we do the video on Shake It, we're writing our own. I'm having a choreographer now. We're going to share with the world our own new dance. The dance could be for old, young, handicapped, wheelchair people. It could be for anybody can do the touch. It's called the touch.
Well, that that is even so wonderful in today's world because um, we look at people of a certain age, we say, "Oh, you can't do this." We look at younger people and say, "Well, you should be able to do it."
Right.
Um, and the fact that we all can join in, I mean, that's going to be revolutionary, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So again, the name of the is called what now?
The name of the album,
Yes,
that's called Crossing Bridges.
Crossing Bridges. Okay.
Right. And we go by Streetwise. And our website is streetwiseny.com. The Instagram is streetwisenyc. And we have a Streetwise Facebook.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure we put all that in the show notes. So there's no reason for people not to follow you, not to get your music. And hopefully you'll be able to start touring because this virus just has to go away. Uh,
Yeah. So we're
we're all,
communicating with booking agents now to see the right timing. But so we are now located on the North Fork of Long Island. And the North Fork has probably 42 wineries. They really are doing very well over the years with wineries, and they have some real award winners. So we were asked, and I'm going to do it, that now that the wineries have such big fields in the back, they have their little stages, and we're going to start putting on little shows for the
right.
people that want just to stay locally for a while and keep our distance until it's time that we have some real good venues coming.
That is terrific. I know I'm very connected to Cafe Lena up in Saratoga Springs, and they have started bringing in um, performers again. They used to have food and beverages, but now food and beverages have been cut off because patrons are supposed to wear their mask, and they only seat 100 normally, and I think uh, now they're seating like 30. But you know what? It's still a great way to get back out and hear live music, and there's nothing like live music. Um,
And we will play to one person the same way we'll play to 10,000 people. We just love what we do and share the joy of music.
well, we want to wish you the best. I want to see this climb up the charts and be one of the best things that's happened to you and your family and to the band in 2021. Okay.
Thank you for having me, Karen. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Have a great day. Bye bye
You
now.
too.